Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. You know what time it is. It is, of course, another Thursday, and we're here to bring you another episode of Straight Talk. Now, Straight Talk is a debate platform that allows learners to come up here and express themselves right on our Facebook page about current affairs as well as issues that are trending in the Namibian society. So today we have a very interesting topic, and in-house today we have Concordia College, who is going up against Academia Secondary School. So I can't wait to see. I know winter is here, but it's hot in here because you won't believe the arguments that these debaters have come up with. In the motion that reads, this House believes that teachers' bonuses, should be directly linked to the learner's performance. Here to bring you constructive thinking as well as criticism is Academia Secondary School and Concordia College. So stay tuned and watch the debate. If you, of course, have anything additional to say, you can leave your comments in the comment section on our Facebook page as you enjoy the video. Stay tuned.
Good afternoon, House at Large. I'm your first speaker from Side Proposition, here to debate the motion that states that this House believes that teachers' bonuses should be directly linked to their class performances, right? So first I'll present you with my characterization, then move on to some preemptive rebuttals that might come from Side Opposition, and then further into my case split and with my arguments, right? So into my characterization. So who are the stakeholders within today's debate? The stakeholders within today's debate is the teachers at hand and the learners within these classes, right? So into my status quo, right? Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world where hardworking teachers are not paid for their efforts, ladies and gentlemen, where teachers have to get second-hand jobs, ladies and gentlemen, just to be able to accompany for their families, ladies and gentlemen, and to make sure that they are in a stable place, ladies and gentlemen. And we have to understand that these teachers put in hard effort and work, ladies and gentlemen, into their work, and yet they are not they're not recognized for this, or they are thought to be downward rather than other working hard jobs, ladies and gentlemen, right? So what kind of world do we want to create? Ladies and gentlemen, we want to create a world where each and every job is considered to be a good job, ladies and gentlemen. We want to make sure that teachers are compensated for their work, ladies and gentlemen, where teachers are acknowledged for what they do and the life-changing things that they do into teachers, right? Into learners. So some preemptive rebuttals that might come from Side Proposition, right? So what do we actually mean by this? What we're gonna do, right? We're not gonna make all schools have, we're not gonna force all schools to have performance-based systems, right? We're only gonna let schools that want to have performance-based systems have them, right? And another thing they might come talk about here is how each teacher is gonna have a different salary and how not everyone's gonna be equal, ladies and gentlemen. One thing we're gonna say, right, is that all teachers are gonna have the exact same salary. The only difference is if your work that you put into your subject that you teach, ladies and gentlemen, is higher, ladies and gentlemen, then you're gonna have an extra bonus for this, right? So each and every teacher is going to have the same salary, except if you work harder for what you do in your classes, ladies and gentlemen, then you're going to get an extra bonus that is higher, right? So one other thing that they may come talk about is how, no, the government doesn't have enough money. No, the government doesn't have enough money to cater for all these teachers that might be hardworking and how it cannot afford this, right? So one thing we see that we have organizations and we have teachers' unions, ladies and gentlemen, that are put out there to make sure that teachers are accompanied for and the teachers' rights are respected, ladies and gentlemen. So we can actually use these organizations to actually fund for this, to fund for these bonuses, right? We have organizations such as the United Federation of Teachers, ladies and gentlemen, that are put out into the world to make sure that teachers' rights are respected, to make sure that teachers get paid equally as other jobs, ladies and gentlemen, and to make sure that teachers actually do what they're supposed to do, right? No. So into my case split, right? So my first argument, create incentives for teachers to improve, right? So why is this true? Why is this true? Ladies and gentlemen, we see that many of the best teachers are already doing a lot of these things in their classrooms, ladies and gentlemen. We see that some teachers are already actually going the extra mile, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that students within their classes understand what they're actually teaching. We see that teachers out there are actually doing extra classes for these teachers, taking hours out of their own time, ladies and gentlemen, out of their leisure, ladies and gentlemen, to actually make sure that students within their classes understand what they're saying, right? With performances-based pay, they may be asked to take a little above what they normally do, ladies and gentlemen, and it may motivate low-performing teachers to get their acts together to receive this bonus points that they actually want, ladies and gentlemen. So now we're gonna have these teachers that are lazy, ladies and gentlemen, working extra hours just as the teachers that are hardworking, ladies and gentlemen, to actually receive these extra bonus points that they actually want, ladies and gentlemen. Right? So why is this true? This is true because teachers will follow up with learners, ladies and gentlemen, and now teachers that keep on saying, no, it doesn't matter what you get, because at the end of the day, I'll still get paid, ladies and gentlemen, they won't be doing this anymore, ladies and gentlemen, because now they actually have to make sure that learners understand, ladies and gentlemen, and they won't go up there, explain what they must, ladies and gentlemen, and go sit down thinking that no matter what happens, I'm still gonna get my pay, whether they understand or not, I'm still gonna get paid, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna do away with that whole factor, ladies and gentlemen, and now low-performing teachers are gonna start paying attention to learners in class, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to start putting extra hours to receive this extra bonus that they most probably desperately need. I'll take your POI now.
Yes, ma'am. In circumstances such as these, how are you guys going to regulate the achievements of teachers?
May you please repeat your question?
In those circumstances, how are you guys going to regulate the achievements of a teacher?
We're going to regulate it, ladies and gentlemen, because now we're going to make sure that depending on how the learners get their grade, ladies and gentlemen, it will determine how well these students actually understand the subjects that they're going for, ladies and gentlemen. And the higher the students within the class understand and the higher points that they get, it actually adds to the teacher's level of teaching, ladies and gentlemen. And the principal will be coming in daily as they do normally, but they'll be doing it extra. Ladies and gentlemen. Principals will be coming into class. They'll be looking at how the teacher teaches, ladies and gentlemen, and they'll be checking if the students within the class actually understand what the teacher is teaching, ladies and gentlemen, right? So what is the importance of this? So firstly, we see that kids will be more productive within classes, ladies and gentlemen, because now teachers are putting the extra mile, will actually incentivize students to also go the extra mile to actually make sure that they go up to standard with what the teachers are saying, right? Economically, teachers will now no longer have financial burdens, ladies and gentlemen, because teachers that actually teach because they want to teach, ladies and gentlemen, will now have better salaries, ladies and gentlemen, because a teacher that gets 3,000 will now get 5,000 with the extra 2,000, because now the extra salaries that come in will go to their salary, ladies and gentlemen, right? And into my second argument. My idea, aids in teacher recruitment and retention. Why is this true? Ladies and gentlemen, we see that people only become teachers, not necessarily because they have a passion for teaching, but because teaching was the last option that they had in university, or because teaching was the one thing that didn't require a lot of work, or because teaching was the only option that they had, ladies and gentlemen, and because it was better than cleaning, ladies and gentlemen, right? Yeah, to move on. To passionate teachers, the extra work is worth the higher salary. Also, schools offering performance-based compensation typically have no problems attracting top talent teachers, ladies and gentlemen, right? And performance-based pay can be an attractive incentive, especially for young teachers who have a lot to offer. The opportunity for a higher pay is often too compelling to pass up, ladies and gentlemen. So now to people that actually want to be teachers, ladies and gentlemen, but cannot be teachers because their parents told them no, a teacher gets low-paying salary, ladies and gentlemen, can now complete their course into doing what they love and into educating learners, ladies and gentlemen, because now teachers no longer get low-paying salary, ladies and gentlemen, because if you are a proper teacher, ladies and gentlemen, then you do get the proper pay that you deserve, ladies and gentlemen, right? I'll take any more POIs. Oh, okay. So what have I told you in today's debate, ladies and gentlemen? So firstly, I've told you about how we're not going to necessarily put a teacher's salary on the line because of the students, ladies and gentlemen, because we do understand that there are factors out of a teacher's control, ladies and gentlemen, that determine whether a child can pass or not, ladies and gentlemen. Factors such as a child's disability, ladies and gentlemen, and things such as poverty and all these Yeah, those things, ladies and gentlemen, right? So we're going to only be basing their pay on how extra they do, and with these extra works that they do, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to get extra bonuses, ladies and gentlemen. So every teacher is going to be at the same level of pay, ladies and gentlemen, except teachers that do, that work harder for their students, ladies and gentlemen, are going to get a higher salary, right? And I've also told you about how this incentivizes more people to become teachers if they have a passion for teaching, ladies and gentlemen.
Whole House at large, I greet you all. Let me start with my rebuttals. The main argument that I got from the first speaker of team proposition is that if these teachers are incentivized for the hard work that they do. They will be more motivated and teach more teachers. More people want to become teachers because they receive more money. Am I mistaken? But we cannot guarantee that. You cannot guarantee. In fact, by putting this motion into place, you cannot guarantee that even though a teacher that is hardworking will be treated fairly, because there are different types of learners in a school. There are learners that don't really care about school. They don't really care about anything. So even though a teacher is putting 100%, it won't change anything because these learners do not care, so they fail anyway. Let me start with my normative statement. We live in a world where teachers' efficiency is simply not enough for perfect results. Learners also need to put in more effort, because even if teachers put in 100%, as I said, it will not, and learners don't put any effort, it won't change anything. That's why we believe this motion will not work. And I think the proposition side doesn't know the difference between a bonus and a salary. A bonus is what you receive for your qualifications. A salary, in fact, a salary is what you receive for your qualifications, and a bonus is an extra payment that you receive for your performance as a worker. Now, a bonus is a right, not a privilege, according to the Namibian Constitution. Now we look at the characters that are in this, that are affected by this debate. There's the teacher, the learner, and the government. I'll be looking at the two characters, the government, the teacher and the learner, and my second speaker will be looking at the government. Now, a teacher can have a single class of more than 30 learners, and in a single day they can have over 100 learners. Now, we cannot expect teachers to be able to adapt to every single learner, so that they can achieve their highest, because some learners don't care, as I've already said. Now we look at the learners. Learners, in general, learners are not similar. Every learner in this debate are different. We are not all the same. Some people like math, some people don't. Now, if your math teacher is a good teacher, but some people don't like math, and they fail, and the performance is low. Now, how are we are affecting these teachers as well. And also, okay, let me come to my point now. There are government schools do not have, or most of the time do not have, a choice with the students that come to their school, because during the year people apply late, so there are often a lot of learners that do not get accepted into school. So they will have learners that do not perform well, but could not choose, because the situation forces its hand on them. We cannot base bonuses on student performance, because there are different factors that teachers are not in control of, like the lack of resources, and my second speaker will speak on that. With that, I beg to oppose.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, House at Large, and fellow adjudicators and my fellow debaters. I'm here, I'm the second speaker of side proposition, Chris Eduardo, to go against what side opposition have said in today's debate. Okay, first of all, moving on to my rebuttals. The first speaker came up here and he talked about how these kids are not being serious, how then we have kids that actually are not productive within the class, and this would actually affect the bonuses that these teachers get at the end of the day. We come and tell you that my first speaker came up here and told you that there are factors that are outside the teacher's controls. There are factors like learners not being serious and, having poverty at home or parental problems at the end of the day. But then we tell you that a side proposition, we're not going to base the teacher's bonus or teacher's payment at the end of the day based on these factors that are outside the teacher's control. We tell you we live in a world that whereby we don't have that, like 90% of the class is not serious at the end of the day. We tell you that you have in classes you have 2 or 3 learners that are not serious, but they do not necessarily affect the performance of the class or the performance of the general class at the end of the day, because nowadays you have learners that actually want to learn, they want to do something in class, but they are not given that extra time for them to do that at the end of the day. So that's a problem. That's what we're trying to fix. This is then going to incentivize, encourage teachers to give more time or to give more extra classes for these kids and for them to become better in today's to become better within society, to become better within that such a general subject. We tell you that we've told you a side proposition that we're not going to base this on factors that are outside the teacher's control at the end of the day. Moving on to moving on to what my first speaker said. My first speaker came up here and she told you how this then incentivizes teachers to work harder. We tell you that this is true because when you set a certain standard that teachers have to reach at the end of the day, you then force teachers to actually put in their extra work, and you actually you give bonuses or you give rewards to teachers that currently do work hard or do work at that certain extent. Because nowadays we have teachers that actually do give extra classes paid, but they don't get paid on the basis of extra classes. We have teachers that put in extra work, and that we have teachers that focus so much on the learners that the learners become best in the schools, but the teachers still get paid the same as the teachers that are failing, or the same as the teachers that are failing to do, or the same with their learners. So this is the problem that we're trying to fix, or that we're trying to curb in today's debate. We're trying to curb the fact that some teachers get paid the same amount of teachers that don't do the same work as they do. Okay, moving on to my first point, we come and tell you how this then holds up accountability. Why is it true? We tell you that many performance-based pay system includes components which enables principals to terminate teachers that which are continuously failing to meet the standards that are set within this performance-based systems. So we tell you when a teacher's class or when a teacher's grade or subject is not performing at the end of the day, we tell you that we then are able to hold this teacher accountable. We then are able to point this teacher out. This is the teacher that says that even if I don't do my work, I'll still get paid. We get to point this teacher out, and then penalize him at the end of the day because his learners or his subject is not doing well and he's not putting much work into his subject. Because you can't have other teachers' learners passing and yours failing while they're in the same grade because of the different subjects. So by setting this in place, we're actually increasing the chances of accountability, and these teachers that don't work hard are then held accountable and are then removed from the system at the end of the day. We tell you why is this important. We tell you that the moment these bad teachers are removed and good teachers are put in place, to furthermore carry this learners into better grades, or to furthermore guide these learners to getting better grades. We tell you that this then increases the productivity within kids, because we've had instances whereby a teacher was teaching certain learners and the learners were failing, and when another teacher came and taught the learners passed at the end of the day. This then just shows that we have some teachers that are not serious, and they take this job for granted at the end of the day. And we need teachers that actually want this. They want to get these bonuses because they want to fix their lives, and they want to fix the lives of these kids. We need teachers that actually gonna focus on the life of the kids and care about the kids, and don't only be lazy at work and whatnot at the end of the day. So we tell you that these kids become productive at the end of the day because they have a higher chance of getting a good teacher, because this bad teacher is removed at the end of the day, and they have a good teacher to lead them into great grades and whatnot. My second point is solvency. Firstly, why is it true? We tell you that we're solving different problems at the end of the day. The problems that we've identified in today's debate, and those problems are like teachers not getting adequate amount for the work they're doing, and we have the failure rate within schools is increasing at the end of the day, and those are two problems that we've identified in today's debate. So basically, how are we creating solvency? By giving these teacher bonuses for doing extra work, or giving these teacher bonuses for performances within classes. How my first speaker said that this incentivizes the teachers to work harder. When the teachers are working harder, and we see in our world the learners start to perform better, we then kill two birds with one stone, because we have the failure rates decreasing at the end of the day, and we have teachers that are working hard enough, getting adequate amount for what they're doing, and they're getting paid for the work they're doing and whatnot. And we tell you that ineffective teachers are also dealt with at the end of the day. So this is then a base of solvency at our side. That's something that side opposition have failed to present in today's debate, because there's no solvency at the end of the day regarding to the status quo within hand, because we have the failure rates increasing, and we have teachers not getting adequate amount for the work they're doing. So inside opposition's world, we actually don't get solvency for that problem in today's debate. We don't have solvency for the problem that faces the society or faces the world in today's debate. And in our side proposition, we have solvency in the fact that these teachers get paid adequate amount, and the failure rate is then decreasing at the end of the day, because these teachers are working hard enough and are focusing more on the children, for the children to become productive and to get good marks at the end of the day. We tell you why is this important. Firstly, we tell you that school kids being helpful, the school kids will be helpful and they'll be more focused, because when we have a child that wants to learn something and we have the teacher giving that child attention, we then increase the chances of this child being focused at school. Because if we have a teacher that's not interested in the children, or not interested at what subject they're supposed to teach, we see that these children also get discouraged at the end of the day. So the moment we have teachers that are working hard enough not only to get bonuses but then to also help the kids at the end of the day, we see that this actually increases the chances of kids being focused and actually going to these extra classes and actually doing what they're supposed to get at the end of the day. And this then leads to these kids being productive within society at the end of the day, because we have kids providing good marks and we have kids showing a promising future at the end of the day, because they're getting good marks and these teachers are working for them. And we tell you that we do away with a certain part of economical struggles, because nowadays, as my first speaker has told you, we have teachers looking for second-hand jobs to be able to provide for their family, to be able to provide for their everyday needs, because these schools are not paying them based on what they're doing, but they're just paying them on a certain salary that's not enough. So we tell you we're doing away with economical struggles when we're giving these teachers bonuses. So when a teacher knows that I'm going to get extra money for this, they're going to work harder and harder. The harder they get, the more money they get. So at the end of the day, when they're getting more money, we see that we do away with this economical problem which is facing the teachers at the end of the day, and these teachers are able to provide for their family, are able to provide for their basic needs at the end of the day, because they're getting their bonuses and they're getting adequate amount or adequate payment at the end of the day for them to be able to do what they're supposed to do. Whatever I told you in today's debate, I've told you how these unproductive teachers are then dealt with within the education system within today's debate. I've told you how this then creates solvency within the factors whereby we have failure rate increasing and teachers not getting adequate amount. We tell you how this creates solvency whereby the failure rate is then decreasing in our world, and the teachers are getting adequate amount at the end of the day. And I've told you how this then does away with the economical struggles that the teachers are facing within today's debate. And with that, I'm proud to propose.
A warm welcome to the House at large. I am the second speaker from Team Opposition, and I come forth with my rebuts. Now, the first speaker of Team Proposition came here and told us that hard-working teachers would be paid accordingly because they work hard, so they deserve more. And then those teachers that slack off and do nothing will then not obviously get an increase in their bonus. Well, I want to make something clear to the House today. You see, hard-working teachers can be put in any subject. They can be a hard-working history teacher, a hard-working math teacher, a hard-working English teacher, for example. But then you get some learners that, like as my first speaker said, learners adapt differently to different subjects. Now, what if I'm a learner what if I'm a visual learner? And for example, in the history class, we watch videos about World War II and so forth, and so I excel in history. But then in the biology class, all we do is sit down and read from our textbooks. Then in biology, I do not perform as well in biology. And then what happens? My biology teacher, who's also a hard-working woman or man, is then paid less compared to my history teacher, who just sits there and shows us videos. This is then also does not make sense. It is not fair. Then the second speaker from Team Proposition came up here, and he told us that there are factors that are out of a teacher's control. Well, let me tell you guys something. Let me quickly educate Team Proposition. Are you aware of the fact that education and or learning does not just come from the teacher? We have factors such as textbooks. We have factors such as the learning environment in which the learner is sitting. And we also have factors such as determination and or mindset of the learner, him or herself. Here's the thing I want to make clear right now, before I continue. If I am a learner, who is determined to wake up and go to school every single day just because I know my mother will while at me if I stay home, do you really think I'll go sit in a class of a determined teacher and want to get an A? No, the answer is no. And if I am a learner, if I am a learner who gets up every morning determined to go to school, but because I live in Havana in a school in academia, it's going to take me more than half a day to get to school, and then I miss out on half a day and do not learn anything and fail just because of my circumstances. Do you think then it is fair for my teacher who makes it to school on time, who works twice as hard as I do so that I can perform, to then get a cut in their, rejected, to then have their bonus cut because of that? Then another thing is that it makes sense what Team Proposition is trying to say. I mean, it almost makes sense. You know, okay, if you're hardworking, you get money. If you say you can get paid even though I'm not studying, then you shouldn't get paid. But here's the thing. How sure are we that a teacher will not try his or her best and then still not get paid enough just because we are in the 21st century? Let me quickly just bring back an old proverb. I think we all know this proverb. It says, you can bring a horse to the water, but you cannot make the horse drink from the water. Here's the thing. I know of many teachers who work hard, who work very hard and try their utmost best so that their learners can perform. But here's the thing. In this sense, let's wake up quickly. Let's just wake up from that fairy tale dream of where learners are all working hard. We are all staying up until 5 studying for exams. Yeah, it doesn't happen. So here's what happens. As a learner, I choose not to care. Why? 21st century, I have rights. Even if I don't make it in school, I have talent. Maybe I can become a singer. I don't know, next Beyonce, just go on a talent show and I win money. Yeah, or maybe I can just fail grade 10, go to VTC, boom, I have a job, I'm a mechanic, I'm an electronic. You know what? But then this is the thing. You are not only ruining your life, you know, if we allow the bonus to be cut according to the performance of the class, you're not only, Team Proposition mentioned it themselves. Why would you allow a hard-working person to suffer because someone else doesn't care enough to put in as much effort as you did? Why would that happen? Now, Team Proposition came up here and said that teachers have second-hand jobs and they are trying their best to make an income and whatnot. Here's the thing. Even if you are trying your utmost best so your learners can perform, if they don't care, you are still going to get that cut in your budget. Even though you work hard or you graduated, you have how many degrees, it's not going to help. And then I'm going to go back to our government, right? The thing is, our government is simply just not doing enough to help the education system. Okay, there is free education, but to what extent? You see, it doesn't really matter what they are trying to show us that they can do, because it's not helping at all. Because, you see, just in 2017, there was a strike, teacher strike, during an external period of examination. Imagine a teacher goes on strike and you are sitting as a grade 10 learner in a class thinking, my teacher didn't come to school, how am I going to pass externals? Are you kidding me? No. This is not how it's supposed to be. And then there was a salary increment decline just this year when teachers asked for a 5% increment in their salaries. How then do you think the government will be able to afford bonus increases if they can't even afford a 5% increment in the teacher salaries? Another thing, our teacher salaries are already low as it is. Why then would you allow an external factor, which Team Proposition said is not important, why then would you allow an external factor to determine how much money I take home at the end of the month? It does not make sense, ladies and gentlemen, House at large. I want to make it clear, back to my point on the different types of learners that we get. I want to make it clear that we all know, sitting here today, we all know that not every learner is meant for school. Ne? But the thing is, you cannot make it anywhere without school. So says the system, isn't it? Then how do you expect a learner, I as a learner, who am only going to school because maybe I'm in love with math, then I have to go through 6 or 4 other subjects just because it's compulsory. You obviously can't wake up in the morning and go to school just for math. No, you have to go through other subjects. Now the thing is, this means that what I'm doing is I'm disadvantaging other hardworking teachers because I do not care about their subjects. I don't hate the teacher, I just don't like what they're teaching me. This then doesn't make sense, because it doesn't make sense to link a teacher's bonus to the performance in classes, because as I said earlier, this is the 21st century. We are not lying. Let's not lie to ourselves. Let's not paint a small picture where there's all sunflowers and roses and every teacher is happy and every teacher is getting money, because it's not happening. What's happening right now is government has no money. Teachers are teaching, working, they're taking work home. I personally know of a teacher who goes home with millions of books to go mark, and then they come back the next day just to hear that because most of your class failed, you're going to get a bonus decrease. That is not fair. That is seriously not fair. And as I mentioned, not every subject is understood the same way by every single learner. For example, what if we take Windhoek Technical, for example? That's a technical high school. What if a learner in their technical high school is good in mechanics and so forth, but then they still have to go to biology class because you cannot be in a high school if you don't do all the subjects required. What I'm trying to say is, ladies and gentlemen, it will really be unfair to punish a hard-working teacher because a learner is not determined enough or because circumstances are paralyzing that certain teacher. Because I, as a learner, will personally not be motivated to go to school if I'm going to learn under a tent or if it's raining and so forth. And with this, I rest my case.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm the third and final speaker from Team Proposition. I'll be starting off with my rebuttals and jumping into the strengthening of our case. Starting off with my rebuttals, they based their whole debate today on the basis of saying that learners are not serious. Now, Mr. Speaker, we believe that this is absolutely not true because we have children in a school or in a classroom which are dedicated to their schoolwork, and not 90% of a whole entire school are not serious with their work, because nobody would want to wake up 5 o'clock every single morning and not want to achieve something at the end of the day. So that point again falls flat on the ground. And then they talked about how circumstances make learning unbearable. Mr. Speaker, in the current world, Namibia has millions of kids who live in poorly impoverished places, for example, Havana and Koreakhab and other places where you would think it's impossible for you to live. But these kids actually wake up every single day, they go to school and actually serious with their work. So them saying that circumstances are the ones making learning unbearable for these kids, and thus we shouldn't go on with today's motion is absolutely not true, because at the end of the day, they are using it as an excuse to make a better the resources which we can give to our teachers, because we believe that the whole value of teachers is being diluted because we don't value them in the current world. Because even if it's a hard-working teacher, they're still being paid the same as a lazy teacher. So what then are we solving at the end of the day? For example, he's a biology teacher, she's a math teacher, and she's hard-working and he's not. They're still getting the same salary at the end of the day because they have the certain qualifications. But it's not what we're trying to do today. We're saying that whatever you're going to do extra based on the effort you're going to put into the children's work, we are going to pay you for that certain work that you did in these children's lives. And then they also went on by talking about how government is not doing enough. I believe that my first speaker told you that we're not using the government as a model, because we have individual bodies that can help us with financial resources. For example, the United Federation of Teachers, the public sector trade unions, and the Education International. Meaning that we're not going to use the government to ask them for any financial resources. We're not going to ask them for any help, because they try to come up here talking about how there's a whole economic crisis and how the government is not doing anything about it. But we told you that there are other bodies who are already on board, because you see that in other countries that have actually tried this model, they are prospering because they don't get financial resources from the government, but from other bodies which are capable of doing it. Any POIs before I move on?
Mr. Speaker, do all schools necessarily fall under this within Namibia?
Fall under what exactly?
Under your policy?
Yes, that's why we told you that if you are a teacher, if you are a working teacher with a career as a teacher, you're going to get more than the promised salary if you are going to be putting more effort in these children's lives, Mr. Speaker. Because we have teachers who stay home after school every single day to provide afternoon classes for their learners, even though it's not allowed, not allowed, even though it's not scheduled by the government to actually have afternoon classes. These teachers make an effort to make the lives of these children better. So at the end of the day, that whole problem on your side of the bench is not solved, but it is solved on our side. So what have we talked to you about in today? We've given you arguments such as it incentivizes teachers to make improvements. Now, we said in the current world, teachers are naturally competitive, right? And at the moment we pay them for their competitiveness, and it then allows you to upgrade the level of education you're giving to the children. Because at the end of the day, when you have two teachers that are competitive towards each other, healthy competition, let me remind you, you make sure that these teachers are going to be bringing all sorts of resources from wherever they want to make sure that their learners are passing. Because in every school, you have teachers who want to be known as the best teacher in a certain subject, right? Meaning that they have this certain competitiveness, which then allows the learners at the end of the day to be getting good education. That's causing a whole domino effect where we get the lazy teachers who also start working hard, because then now everybody wants to get a certain something at the end of the day. Nobody wants to let go of free money, not free money, but then easy money at the end of the day. Because if you are working and if you add much more value on what you're going to be doing, then you actually get compensation for it, which is where we go out with the problems of teachers telling you to your face that even though you fail, at the end of the day, I'm still going to get my salary. Because in the current world, in the current world, we have teachers telling you that they don't care about what happens to you. They don't care if you're not serious. They don't care if you're not doing your homework or writing the test. But they tell you to your face that even if you fail, at the end of the day, that's not my problem. I'm still going to get my salary. Which then that in their world, it doesn't incentivize them to work hard as much as in our world we take it. Yes.
Don't you think that this implementation of it will then cause cheating in schools, whereby teachers give learners answers in order for them to be seen as the
Mr.
highest?
Speaker, we tell you already that already exists in their world, but then it's not aggravated in our world, because then now we told you that we're going to set up a certain mechanism that would then allow for the teachers, because at the end of the day, even when you're writing exams, your teachers don't mark your question papers at the end of the day, which is the other teachers from other schools are the ones that mark your question papers. So then they don't have a reason to give you extra marks, even if they don't know you. So that problem again falls flat on the ground, and not something I think you should be bringing up, because it disadvantages you guys more. And then we also talked about accountability. And under this is where we find unproductive teachers that can easily be removed. Because we see that in the current world, accountability is non-existent, because we have so many lazy teachers coming to school, giving their children handouts. They don't even care to teach. They don't even care to ask questions to these children if they understand. But all they do is they don't even give them the whole work at the end of the day, and they expect to be paid for that, Mr. Speaker. And we told you that in our side of the bench, the moment we start paying them for class performance, we then achieve accountability, because these teachers are kept accountable. Because then now the principal can actually pick out the teachers who are actually lazy in school and make sure that these people are fired and replaced with people who are actually capable of doing what they promised to do at the end of the day when they're actually when they decided to apply for the job. And then we also talked about solvency, and we see that in our world. We see that in the current world, teachers don't really choose the teaching profession because they are really passionate about it. My first speaker is to talk to you about it. They don't really choose teaching because, I really want to be a teacher and I want to change people's lives. No, they take it because it's one of the easiest jobs you can get in the industries. It's one of the easiest easy jobs with less qualifications compared to other professions, for example, like doctors and your engineers, right, Mr. Speaker? And we tell you that on our side of the bench, the moment we start paying the teachers for class-based performances, we achieve solvency, because then now we do away with all problems like teachers not being paid enough. Because in the current world, teachers are crying out to the government to give them more money for the work they did, Mr. Speaker. Which is why we tell you that now, if you're going to be making sure that your children are going to pass, if you're going to be making sure that your children are actually focusing on their work and making sure that the results are actually your hard work is showing in their results, it then goes to show how we're going to be allowing solvency in our side of the world. So what have we told you in today's debate? We told you that on our side, we do away with the current problems of counterproductivity from teachers, and how the country doesn't have money, and how teachers can't get can't get compensation for their work, Mr. Speaker, because we tell you that there are individual bodies which can actually pay for the financial resources that they need. And then we told you that we directly affect the children positively, because then now there's a healthy competitiveness within the teachers, thus causing more education levels for the learners. And we also told you that we have proven how it is unfair for a hard-working teacher to be getting the same payment as the lazy teacher, because at the end of the day, we believe that they are putting much more work and effort into their work. And with that, I am proud to propose.
I greet you all in the name of debate. I'm the third and final speaker for the opposing team. Let me first jump into my rebuttals. So the first speaker from the proposing team comes up and tells us that they want to rate the teachers according to the extra effort they put in and stuff like that. And the example she gave us was afternoon classes and so forth. She then also then directly clarified to us, how are they going to regulate these classes? I can simply give and tell all my class kids, stay today after school, I'll buy you all hot dogs tomorrow. There's no way of us knowing that fraud won't take place within these classrooms or how this whole dilemma is going to take place. Then also tell us that principals are going to go in classes and usually, and we then also tell you already that HODs are there for a reason. We can't be paying someone for a reason while someone else has to do the job for them. The principal is not there to regulate teachers. The principal is simply there to get feedback from the HODs. And HODs is given to each and every department within a school where they're supposed to check up classes, and this currently happens within every within schools within Namibia. Then we also look at the fact that they said they're going to motivate, the bonus is going to motivate the teachers and the learners and so forth with their performance and stuff like this. We then tell you already that this can't be, you can't use this as a way of motivating your people, because bonus is supposed to be a right to each and every individual working in the into different industry. This can be private or public sectors. We then also look at how you said this will increase productivity, economic barriers and stuff like this. And why are we looking at a teacher's economical state of view in this debate? Is it not because you're not able to manage your money properly that you can't sustain yourself? This has nothing to do with the child's thing. Your income is your income. And basically what we're saying that every teacher is entitled to a basic bonus that they get yearly. Yes, that's the thing. And their salaries are based on their qualifications. So if they want more money, why don't they just further their studies or further their studies in the field of teaching they have? We then also look at how the second speaker comes up here and tells us that some teachers don't have passion for it. They're just doing it because it's easy and stuff like that. I'm telling you, no one's going to sit in a lecture class for 4 years and still go out and do the practicals and stuff like this, and no one will click that this person is not doing the right thing. There are teachers that come stand in front of you and you can see them shivering when they are previously presenting rejected. How you see how they are busy shivering for us when they are doing their presentation and stuff like this. But this is the things that get them to becoming the teachers they are. Rejected. We then also look at the fact that teachers are recognized within the education sectors. I can tell, like a teacher like Ms. Waka was rewarded the best interrupt teacher for last year, and this was at externals. She was given the qualification. It was all over the news. We all saw that. So we don't understand how you guys feel that teachers are not being given the recognition for that. So let me just give you guys a clarity of what we received from the proposing house. They tell us, first of all, that they want social recognition, they want accountability and stuff. We then also show that the teachers are, they want to show us that the teachers are apparently doing their job. Right. So we then also showed you from the opposing house that they are not actually, we can't basically approach a teacher because we do not know what they are faced with on a daily basis. Different characters. We then told you that lack of resource comes in greater pictures. I'll take you now. Just hang on. We then also look at the fact that they clearly told us that all schools are related in this, right? We then tell you that how can this relate to a private school, right? Whereas in a private school, teacher has a bonus that they're given for the year plus their salary, but then also get one that's annual for all teachers because they are working in a private school. So they're like, you have over 2 bonuses already. Why do you want to give them more bonuses? And first of all, some of these private schools don't even work with the curriculum within the current government. Yes, can I take your point, ma'am?
Mr. Speaker, regarding what you said about a person not being able to handle their own money, are you ignoring the fact of how teachers are low paid?
Low paid or not, this is where I clarify to you that teacher salaries are based on their qualification, and their bonuses that are given are annually, and they are fixed for everyone to have the same amount. And if they, when I came forth and I told you guys about economic, I'm telling you this debate is not based, rejected. It's not based on how a teacher handles his or her money in the first place. There's nothing to do with this is their own personal life. This has nothing to do with the children's performance or anything like that. And taking burdens and so forth. We then tell you that maybe the lack of knowledge of how to budget their income and so forth. This has nothing to do with this debate. That's where the point falls there. So we then rejected. I'm not taking any more POIs. We then also look at how they said, okay, from the Arab. Let me just do a clash. Let me do a clash debate on what really happened in this debate. We get accountability from the proposing side, we get social recognition, we get the passion, and people are not passionate for the job, and so forth. Right. We then also look at so from our side of the house, we brought things such as the fact we can't put a bonus at risk because it's a right. The moment we take teachers a bonus away, this is already as violating their rights as human beings already. We then also tell you that a teacher in a government school has no per se of like, I cannot control, rejected. has over 30 kids plus in the class, as my first speaker mentioned, that these teachers are not they're not responsible for what happens in a classroom. They are responsible in the sense that they do deliver a teaching, but it's up to a learner to understand that, did I understand what she taught? Am I willing to apply it in an exam? That's why we have examination. If a teacher is supposed to do all the effort, why do we write examination? Because examination is there to test you if you understand what was happening. And people fail because they simply rejected, simply because they did not understand the work that was provided with them beforehand. So my second speaker came up here, and then she spoke about how there are lack of resources that lead to a teacher. A teacher is there to provide a lesson, yes, but there are supposed to be available resources, such as textbooks, there for a learner. Then she also gave an example of saying that if a student stays in Havana and then is late for class, but then at the end of the term the child ends up failing because the child missed the lesson that I didn't provide for because the child wasn't there. Will the teacher also be blamed for it? So, wait. Let me just do this. Mr. Speaker, Team Proposition clearly failed to win this debate because, first of all, they tell us that their policy is to bring equality, accountability, and stuff like this, and it's clearly not coming through. First of all, they clearly failed to tell us how their policy is going to take place, how is it going to run course, what organization, at what rate is it going to happen. You cannot just simply tell me it's enough that I'm going to get a bonus for how much. You haven't told me directly, like, this is the percentage we're going to use because of da-da-da-da and whatnot. They did not clarify to us why the bonus is coming in, first of all. They just clearly tell us, no, because some teachers are lazy and some teachers are not. They didn't clarify to us what a lazy teacher is actually all about. Apart from, no, they'll have afternoon class where we show you that fraud can take place. I can tell you, rejected. Where we told you that fraud can take place in any way. Telling you, please sit today, I give you detention. You never know what motive they'll have to keep the kids at the back. We then also showed you guys in this debate that, first of all, the teachers are not held accountable for this. 50-50 representation from both sides must come through. If that was not the case, people would not be tested on their knowledge. We then also told you that lack of resources are already pending. We already then told you that we're already in a risk barrier where we think, or where we are scared of teachers going on strike this year alone. But now you're giving us bonuses and fake rates that are not even visible to us and so forth, that we don't know where we stand within our government. And private schools do not cater for the same needs as government schools. With that, I beg to oppose.
All right, there you have it. I hear from this debate that we only have teachers because it's the easiest job that one can get. I find that interesting. So we'll be right back with feedback, but until then, we're experiencing some slight technical difficulties, so don't go away. We'll be right back after these.